All right, let's jump right in. We're going to be talking about what is maybe the most fundamental problem in all of economics, and really in life. You just can't have everything you want. It's a world full of tough choices, and economists have a word for this: scarcity. It's this simple but really powerful idea that because our resources are limited, we are forced to choose. Okay, so take a look at these numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The data here is pretty crystal clear, right? More education almost always means a higher salary. I mean, that jump from a high school diploma to a bachelor's degree is huge, and it just keeps going up with a master's. Looking at this, you think the choice is a no-brainer. So that leads us to a big puzzle. A 67% boost in earnings? That is a life-changing amount of money. So why doesn't everybody who can get a degree? If the reward is so massive, what gives? What's holding people back? And the answer, well, it gets right to the very heart of economics. And here's the answer. It's so simple, but it is incredibly powerful. Nothing, and I mean nothing, is truly free. Every single time you choose to do one thing, you are by definition choosing not to do something else. This idea, the trade-off, is the absolute bedrock of all economic thinking. And this isn't some new idea. Way back in 1932, an economist named Lionel Robbins put it perfectly. We all live with scarcity. We have limited time, limited money, limited energy, you name it. And because we can't have it all, we are constantly, every single day, forced to make choices. So, how does this big kind of philosophical idea of scarcity actually affect us day to day? Well, let's zoom in a little bit. Let's get practical and talk about what economists call your personal budget constraint. To make this super concrete, let's meet a guy named Alfonso. Now, his financial world is very, very simple. He's got a budget of $10 a week, and he only spends it on two things: burgers, which cost $2 each, and bus tickets, which are 50 cents a piece. So this basically maps out all of Alfonso's options for the week. You see point A up there? He's all in on burgers. He gets 5 of them, but he's walking everywhere. Now look all the way down at point F. He can take 20 bus rides, but, well, he's not eating any burgers. And every single point in between shows the specific trade-off he has to make. So what that table is really showing us is a key concept in economics: the budget constraint. You can just think of it as the outer edge of your financial world. Every combination of burgers and bus tickets on that line is something Alfonso can do. Anything outside of it, though? Nope, simply can't afford it. Okay, so let's ask a question. What does one burger really cost Alfonso? Now, the simple answer is $2, right? But for an economist, that is not the whole story. To find the true cost, you have to kind of reframe the question entirely. See, the true cost isn't the $2. The true cost is what he had to give up to get that burger. With that $2, he could have bought 4 bus tickets. So the real, unavoidable cost of that burger is the 4 bus rides he can no longer take. That's the real cost. And this brings us to what is arguably the single most important concept in all of economics. It's called opportunity cost. It's the value of the next best thing you had to give up. Every single decision you make has this hidden cost. It's the value of the road you didn't take. Okay, let's try to apply this to a decision maybe you make every day. Take a look at this number, $1,250. What do you think this represents? Well, that's what a $5 lunch at work costs you over a whole year. So the opportunity cost isn't just $5 a day. It's a vacation, it's a new computer, it's paying off a chunk of debt. When you frame the choice that way, as your lunch versus a vacation, it might just change your mind. So we've seen how this all works for one person, for an individual. But this stuff isn't just about our personal budgets. The exact same principles, scarcity, choice, opportunity cost, they scale all the way up and apply to entire societies. So let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. For a whole country, their version of a budget constraint is called the Production Possibilities Frontier, or PPF for short. It's a model that shows all the efficient combinations of two things a country can produce, say healthcare and education, if it uses all of its resources and technology perfectly. Now, the key difference between the two is pretty obvious right away. An individual's budget constraint, that's a straight line, because prices are fixed. $2 for a burger, that's that. But a society's PPF is curved. So, why the curve? What's going on there? That curve shows us something called the law of increasing opportunity cost. Basically, it means that not all resources are equally good at doing all things. Imagine a country wants to shift resources from making healthcare to making education.
At first, you might just move some office workers who are good at either thing, no big deal. But eventually, you're trying to turn brain surgeons into kindergarten teachers. You'd be giving up a massive amount of healthcare for just a tiny little gain in education. The opportunity cost gets bigger and bigger.
Okay, I know what some of you might be thinking right now. This all sounds very theoretical. We're talking about graphs and constraints and frontiers. I mean, how does any of this apply to the messy reality of how people and governments actually make decisions? I mean, let's be real. Nobody actually pulls out graph paper before deciding which cereal to buy. And you can bet that politicians aren't sketching out PPF curves before a big budget vote. So are these models just, unrealistic exercises for academics? Well, there's a fantastic analogy for this. Think about a pro basketball player. They can make a perfect pass using just skill and intuition, right? They're not solving physics equations in their head. But that doesn't mean the laws of physics are wrong. The physics still perfectly describes the outcome of what they just did. And that's exactly what these economic models are for. They aren't a script for what's happening inside our brains. They are a really powerful tool for describing and even predicting the outcomes of our choices. Choices that are guided by our gut feelings and intuitive responses to the trade-offs we face every day. So let's kind of bring this all home. We've talked about individual choices, societal limits, everything from burgers to healthcare. So why does understanding all this stuff about trade-offs actually matter in the real world? Well, it matters because of this really profound insight from Adam Smith, who's basically the father of modern economics. He realized that when millions of us just make our own individual choices based on our own opportunity costs, what's best for us, we are often guided as if by an invisible hand to create outcomes that actually benefit everyone, even when that wasn't our intention at all. So, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. At its core, economics is the study of trade-offs. Every choice has a cost. Every time you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. And that leaves us with one final question for you. What is the opportunity cost of how you're spending your time right now? What's the next best thing you could be doing? Hopefully, understanding that choice just a little bit better was worth it.